don't understand. Will they fuck it all up or will they save the land? Treachery, vanity, loitering and worse. They are their own worst enemies. These fuckers don't need no cause. Authors and dragons. Authors and dragons. Their powers combined, a group of fantasy authors take on a sadistic games master. Will they survive? Let's clap our hands and believe in magic. Authors and dragons! Authors and dragons!
Hey everybody, and welcome to Authors and Dragons Interlude, the episodes that come out on weeks when we're supposed to be playing a game, but due to scheduling or circumstances well beyond our control, we can't. And today the circumstances beyond our control are hurricanes. There's a hurricane tearing up the coast right now. It's Zeta, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. I slept through it.
I'm trying to avoid most of the news lately. It's depressing.
So I believe it's Zeta that's hitting right now, and it's kind of working its way. It has interrupted the power of some folks, and so we're having to call an interval, or an interlude, if you will. And the topic for it is, well, going to be hurricanes, natural disaster, disasters, disasteroo. I don't know. We can have fun with it.
Having a natural disasteroo. I like that one.
That's when you're having a party during a hurricane.
Yeah. We're all from areas where we've had to face, if not hurricanes, then I imagine some sort of consistent annoyance in the form of natural disasters, and that can lead to interesting tales and stories and whatnot. So to start off, why don't we talk about what we generally have had to deal with through our lives, natural disaster-wise.
I'll go. I mean, I'm from New Orleans. I've lived through several hurricanes and tropical storms and just big ass rains that flooded the city, and I'll save the stories, but that's my background.
I'm in New Jersey, so sometimes hurricanes come up the East Coast, and we get those. We get a lot of nor'easters here. We get the occasional mild quake from New York. I'm sure people will say global warming doesn't exist, but I remember us getting a lot more snow when I was a kid than we get now. So,
well, my background is England, which is, I don't know, it's the purgatory of weather. We don't get anything extreme. We just get, I guess, some kind of persistent water torture.
You get extreme sunshine.
That's not true. It's just a remarkable coincidence. Although I will say, on Rick's point on global warming, our summers are improving. So keep it up, rest of the world. Just get that industrialization going.
Now I see why y'all kicked that off. What a long scheme.
You gotta play the long game, man.
That's 5D chat.
Just calling it like I see it.
We invented the steam engine. It's got a lot of short-term benefits, but you guys ain't going to believe the long-term benefits.
Like Bob, I grew up on the Gulf Coast. I'm from a town called Nederland, Texas, and I realize that a lot of people don't know where that is. So to give you context with how near the water I was, Nederland is located between Port Arthur and Port Neches. So that should pretty much give you what you need.
Not even remotely.
Well, if you're located between two port cities, you're pretty close to the water.
I know Houston and Dallas. That's pretty much it.
We were both on the taint of the United States.
The sweaty taint.
Yeah. We're on the bullshit side, because if you go further on the other side of the Mississippi, where you don't have like the silt running off into the water and everything, gorgeous. That's where you get the white sands, the blue clear waters. But we don't get that. We're on the other side of the Mississippi. Texas beaches are not great. Hurricanes were our big constants. annoyance, threat thing we all got jaded to.
You just get jaded about hurricanes.
Oh, that's going to come back later in some of my stories, because you shouldn't get jaded to hurricanes.
Somebody dropped a house on my sister again. Jeez.
I'd imagine all these angry people in Texas, they know the rest of the country is like, hey, you want to go visit those beautiful Texas beaches? Fuck no.
Oh, I saw an ad for Galveston one time when I was in another state, and the ad they ran was like sparkling water, gorgeous sand, and I was sitting there like, this has got to be illegal. Like, if I saw this ad and showed up to Galveston, I would be beyond livid.
You know something? If you're saving up for a vacation and you end up choosing Galveston, you really have no reason to complain about anything anyway.
Oh, don't get me wrong, that was our beach vacation, and like, there's fun to be had in Galveston. I mean,
you got pirate history. That's fun.
Like, there is fun to be had, but those are not the beaches that are going to be had.
I guess I can start us off with a good hurricane story.
Sure.
It was my first year in this house, a little over 20 years ago. We moved in. They were like, oh, yeah, you're on a floodplain, but it's like a 25-year floodplain. You're really never going to see anything. Oh, okay, that's fine. The basement's all finished. Looks like it's dry. No problem. We're here like a month. Hurricane Floyd rolls through, and we get 1.5 feet of raw sewage as all the like, sewer lines backs up into my basement. And even better, so my 1.5 feet of raw sewage that utterly just destroyed the basement, not to mention required about 40 gallons of bleach to like make livable again. The flood insurance company came in, looked at it and said, yeah, we'll give you $300 for this.
Oh, that stinks even worse than the actual shit.
Yeah, and then they rolled down when the windows and flipped us off as they drove away.
Did you switch insurance companies?
No, here's the thing. There are surprisingly few choices with flood insurance.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's also not like the other options are going to be more ethical.
Yeah.
Did you switch to one of the other pieces of shit insurance companies?
It's just fun to just tell them to go fuck themselves. I'm not paying for your shit. I'll pay for somebody else's shitty service until they fuck me. Or, if they're only giving you $300 for that, why pay insurance?
Well, here's the thing. You have to if you have a mortgage. Mortgage companies basically say, you can either get this expensive flood insurance, or you can pay back all this mortgage right now.
There's people who go to fucking SMM clubs for this level of power over someone else's ass. But no, you could just be an insurance broker.
Yeah, flood insurance, you basically have to pay all at once in the year. There's no like monthly option. It's really fucking expensive because we subsidize all the beach house owning assholes down at the shore. And basically the only way to really ever fully, I guess, recover the amount that you're insured for is to just sit there and hope that a fucking tidal wave comes and takes everything away. And even then, they will probably come in and try to give you an excuse why that's not covered.
Yeah.
That's when I fantasize about somebody coming and killing my family, and so like I don't give a fuck anymore, and I will go break bad on all their asses.
Holy shit!
Well, this got dark.
Yeah, it's like you got super dark. I was about to say the more reasonable thing of like, I feel that way about my car. I just wish somebody would come and steal my car. I don't like my car. I can't sell it. Stole it. That'd be really fucking convenient. But I don't know. The whole kill my entire family angle.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, but he needs his John Wick Genesis for this to work.
I want to not give a fuck enough to go like hold these people accountable with violence.
You just want to go full Punisher on their ass.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't want to do that while I have a family that depends on
Why not?
me.
You could teach them some valuable lessons about standing up to the man.
They'd probably give him shit about it,
They'll learn those lessons in prison, and I don't want that.
It's a good verdant ground for like an action movie. We could do a full John Wick of him just beating the hell out of insurance adjusters.
Yeah.
Writing Shingles, especially Slaughter on Giggle Time Mountain, has given me a lot of time to think about the kinds of people that readers are fine seeing die. Because if you're doing a slasher and you're making it fun, there have to be some kills where no one is feeling any sort of negativity. And I think Insurance Adjuster just got added to the queue.
Yeah, that'd be my basis for the next Friday the 13th movie. They're reopening Camp Crystal Lake, are they? Oh, we'll see about that. I'm going down there with my clipboard and you're gonna get so fucking mad.
That guy's just doing his job. I want the guys up the ladder.
You're right.
The ones making policy.
You got to climb a ladder. You got to start with a machete in the first step. Oh, this got to be
now who's being dark?
Yeah.
Actually, I can segue this into a hurricane story. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, take us away from the darkness into a hurricane story,
So
Drew.
we had to evacuate a fair amount when I was a kid because, again, hurricanes frequent thing, and at one point, I was young enough that I truly don't remember all the circumstances for why we had to go to the specific location. I think it had to do with care for one of our elderly family members and where they could move them. And so we end up like way, way out in the sticks and the boonies at a place that's called the Rusty Anchor Motel, if I remember it correctly. And so we're driving out there, and we finally reach the place. And I have to tell you, I am not a rough and tumble kind of person, and that I come by that honestly. That's through the genetic line. I can't remember who made the joke that in this family camping is a 3-star hotel, but it's not terribly far off. Not in terms of fanciness, just in terms of we're soft and we don't like hard things. And so we drive into this camp, and I'm noticing like all these trailers that are like sliced into fourths with like 4 doors and like 4 little steps up, and not double wides. I mean like real sleek ones. And we like, Mom, I think those are the hotel rooms. And she's like, no, that's crazy. And then we stop, and the little lady on the golf cart who's leading us out like gets out and starts walking up the steps to one of those doors. And my mom goes, oh my God, those are the hotel rooms. And I think her face was literally aghast because the manager said, it's a fish camp, honey. What do you want?
Welcome to the Rusty Trombone Hotel.
It lived up to its name. The water had rust in it. It very much felt like a kind of place where you could get machete murdered at any time. That's what made me remember it, funnily enough.
Yeah, that'll stick with you.
Yeah. I was young enough that I was pretty okay with it. My poor parents.
It's an adventure when you're young.
Yeah. Like I think of that like now with like my old body and joints. It's like, oh no, God, no. I don't want to try and shower in rust water.
When you're young, you remember that the kids mostly survive the machete, massacre movies.
Yeah.
Children never get killed in horror movies.
Welcome to Rusty Lockjaw.
Welcome to Camp Tetanus.
We got the holidays coming up. I've got a Christmas story.
Horrible Christmas story.
No, it's a cute one.
Oh.
We growing up in New Orleans, our house flooded a lot, and this one Christmas, my little brother Kenny, he went downstairs. He got up at like 4 or 5 in the morning because he wanted to look at his Christmas presents, and then he went down the stairs to take a peek, and the first floor of our house was flooded. But he didn't want to get in trouble for getting up too early, so he just went back upstairs and went back to bed.
Smart kid.
I don't know if any damage could have been avoided, but if he had told someone, but he didn't.
The thing is, though, Bevan, if I was your dad and I came downstairs and the house was flooded and one of my children was standing there, I would definitely say, "What the fuck did you do?"
100%.
Absolutely.
So did your dad make up a story about how like Santa got drunk and just pissed everywhere? Yeah, when you're bad, kids don't get coal. They get 100,000 gallons of piss.
He's been flying across the world all night, eating them mince pies and drinking that milk. That's all got to go somewhere. It's going in your living room, Sonny Jim.
I don't think that's what was flooding our house. I think it was just heavy rains.
No, I think you're right. I think it was definitely Santa piss. I think you'd been an awful boy that year.
I guess. I mean,
do we have any hard evidence that I am incorrect? No, I don't think we do. So
no.
I've been on the internet. That's all it takes to prove a theory. So checkmate to me.
Yeah.
It was definitely Santa piss.
Yep. Until such time as you get a chance to drink New Orleans groundwater and taste Santa piss and compare.
Yeah, you that Santa piss is gonna taste like nutmeg and cinnamon.
It'd be nice to think so. Wouldn't it?
The New Orleans groundwater is just gonna be straight up filthy piss.
You just dip in your finger in. Wait a minute, Dad. This doesn't taste like Santa piss at all. This tastes like regular New Orleans piss.
God.
Don't tell me Santa's a Cajun.
God damn. Now I wish growing up I had taught my kids that eggnog was just Santa piss.
Well, it's not going to be Santa piss now, is it?
Yeah, it feels like you're...
That is Santa cum.
Yeah.
I mean... Oh.
Why do you think he's so jolly?
Nah, that's reindeer cum.
I mean, that's what he does. I mean, the elves make the toys. He makes a delivery once a year. The rest of the year, he's just jacking off into plastic bottles.
Yeah.
I also feel like we should be worried about him because that's a lot of foam.
Well, Mrs. Claus has probably got something up his ass. You need to get those production times down. I don't know what the physics are. I've not been there. I've not witnessed it. I'd very much like to. Santa, if you're listening, and I assume you are, I would like a tour of your awful, terrible workshop, please.
He sees you when you're sleeping.
If your semen has enough sugar content to give other people diabetes, then
that does kind of track with what we know of Santa's diet, though.
Yeah, he's a holly jolly fella.
Yep. This is what I give to my ho-ho-hos.
I mean, we still don't have eggnog in Britain. I'm quite disappointed.
Huh.
Oh,
have you ever had it?
Time you're around.
No, I've never had it. I keep
you
meaning to make it.
You do realize you can make it, right?
I did make some once in Korea. It came out okay. Not as good as the store-bought stuff.
I tracked down some guy in a Santa suit and I jerked him off, but I just, I looked at the results. It didn't seem right, so...
It was salty, wasn't it?
Yeah, you want a free-range Santa to make sure you get the ideal thing.
That's the thing. I'm not an agricultural guy. Anyone thinks they can be a farmer, but it's not. It takes a lot more skill than you'd think.
I want a tall glass of eggnog. I know what I need. Santa bukkake.
Well, I don't know. See, we don't have it in our country. For all I know, that's where eggnog comes from. The same with fucking pumpkin spice. We don't have it over here. They released something. Twix released a flavor called winter spice.
What?
That's what winter spice. It's because over here we know that you don't eat pumpkin. No one eats pumpkin. It's fucking awful. I was just carving out pumpkins today because I thought it'd be humorous and a nice activity for the kids. It's like orange snot filled with hard little seeds. It's really fucking unpleasant.
You don't eat the snot. It's the shell of the pumpkin that goes into the pie, not the snot.
The pumpkin is 90% snot. Why would you eat something?
Well, you eat the other 10%, you stupid fuck. Sorry, that was a little harsh.
That was a little harsh. Actually,
Sorry.
it's like, so I'm gonna have some chicken. It's like, oh right, well you gonna eat the chicken fucking rectum? No, I'm not gonna eat the chicken rectum. Now imagine that the
If
chicken
you're in
yeah.
Korea, you might.
I was gonna
had
say,
the
also-
option to eat that yesterday, and I declined.
Now imagine the chicken is 98% rectum and 2% chicken meat. And you say, oh, I want to eat chicken. And you're like, oh, God, chicken's fucking disgusting. It's 98% rectum. And some American goes, oh, you're supposed to eat the 2% that's not rectum, you stupid asshole.
Oh,
Fuck you.
you're supposed
Fuck
to
your
eat the.
ridiculous fruit gourd shit and
You're
fuck its
supposed to
flavor.
not eat the 90% that is feathers, head.
Are you saying a
stomach,
chicken's
and
90% feathers?
what? You eat chicken feathers?
Bevan, they don't eat chicken feathers in Korea.
No,
I don't think
no.
they eat
I'm
chicken
just
feathers.
saying you. I'm saying chicken is not 90% delicious breast meat. A chicken is an animal with feathers and a head and feet and wing. Oh no, the wings
Yes.
are delicious. But
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, chicken to pumpkin ratio, the pumpkin is losing here on edibility.
Okay.
all right. No,
Steve, I've
No.
got a counter for you, and I think Bob will probably back me on this. Hopefully, crawfish isn't a good analogy for pumpkin because crawfish is 99% bullshit and 1% delicious that you have to work for.
also true. Here's another one.
Here's another thing. I'll offer a counterpoint. Crawfish, lobsters, all that stuff, they're essentially underwater cockroaches. So fuck delicious.
Yeah, man.
Well, if cockroaches were delicious,
Yeah, I have Cajun background. You're not gonna scare me with a bug.
I think you Americans have just been lying it all this time. It's like, yeah, I'll take the 1% of this awful fucking shit and turn it into something tasty. Whereas we here in Britain, we're just like, yeah, we'll just eat the non-awful fucking shit. Just the stuff that's like, maybe 70% edible.
have you ever had an apple?
No.
No. Well, they're pretty
Wait.
good,
Touche, Bevan.
but I've never eaten a fucking tree.
That's bullshit.
How about
That's
an
bullshit.
artichoke,
You know
Steve?
it.
Do you guys eat artichokes over there?
I don't,
Okay.
personally.
Because I don't
I don't know
because
anyone who does.
that's pretty much my equivalent to what you're saying a pumpkin is. It's like 90% I have no idea what the fuck I'm supposed to do with this. Yet people keep saying, oh, it's delicious. And I'm looking at it going,
Oh god.
it looks like a bunch of leper scales.
Artichokes are amazing.
Well, let me shoot this shit right now. Right now. When's the last time you had a crawfish flavored Twix?
I'd try one.
Yeah, I guess the last time I ate Twix after I ate crawfish would be the closest.
Well,
Yeah,
there you go.
it takes a while to get that taste out of your mouth. That
Hang on, you know what? I
counts.
had crawfish fried rice for dinner. Let me get a Twix.
If you've got something that's only 2% edible, you don't suddenly go, you know what? This needs to be in everything for 1 month of the year.
All right. Whoa. So your beef is with the whole pumpkin spice thing?
That's how we started this conversation. I feel like I'm losing
I know,
my
but
mind here.
no. The only thing I took offense to was just saying that you don't like pumpkin pie because the parts that you're not supposed to eat are gross.
I didn't even mention pumpkin pie. I just
You
mentioned
said
that
something about it. Anyway,
my point.
you
my
said
point
your point was that the parts that you're not supposed to eat are gross. Oh, this pumpkin stem sucks.
Pumpkins are gross. They are 98% gross. Why would you flavor something which is 98% pure turd?
Most passionate fight I think we've ever had on a.
I know. I'm just backing
You
up.
don't flavor it with the gross part. Cows are delicious. I don't eat their shit.
What? That's something else that they ate. Oh, your arguments are just paper thin, man. Paper thin.
Hey, have you had pumpkin pie?
I don't want pumpkin pie.
That was not my question.
I haven't had pumpkin pie.
Then you're wrong.
I'm actually Not so sure about that.
Fuck you both. Pumpkin pie is delicious.
Look, eat your ridiculous fucking Satan snot fruit. I don't
I mean,
care.
I'm not on your side on that one, but that's mostly because I don't like pie.
Fuck all of you. I don't give a shit. Pumpkin pie is delicious. It doesn't even matter. If you're cooking pumpkin pie with the snot part of the fruit, then you're doing it wrong.
All I'm saying is if the fruit is 98% snot,
If you're cooking apple pie with the trunk of the tree, you're fucking doing it wrong.
the tree isn't the fruit and you know it.
I'm
There's
just saying.
some molecular gastronomist out there who's definitely trying to do that.
Probably. All right. Bevan, I'm sorry I shouted at you. You'd keep your horrible
I think
snot fruit.
I said fuck you first.
Well, you did. You were quite harsh about it. And I still think I raised a very good point about not naming a flavor after a gourd that is 98% snot.
Well, I think you're wrong.
Okay, well, let's just leave it at that.
Steve, why don't you tell us one of your
Yeah.
bad weather stories?
Well, I don't have that many, which is why I spent so long talking about pumpkin.
It drizzled one time.
Well, I do live in a valley, and we are susceptible to flooding. There is a flooding problem in Britain, but not because of horrendous weather, but because we keep on building on floodplains. Because England, in particular, is quite a population-dense country, and we keep on electing people who just don't like poor people at all. So we say, oh, we need more houses, and they go, okay, we'll build it in this floodplain that is very likely to flood. And then, surprise, surprise, it floods. I do remember living in a valley. We had torrential rain for a while, which is fairly common because we have like rain mostly, and then sometimes it just like it tries a bit harder. And I remember being very small. I think I must have been about 8 years old, and our dad used to take us kind of like bi-monthly to the cinema, which was in the nearest city. We didn't go to the one in the town because it was kind of a crack den, and basically the road had flooded. But it flooded to maybe about nipple height on an 8-year-old boy. How was that? You know, I don't know what the metric measurement is for that.
That's very specific.
My dad, he saw like a cheap car, kind of like just your standard Ford, go through it and just kind of push itself through in the wake. And he thought, well, I don't have a cheap car. I have a BMW. It's quite a modern model. So I'm going to do the same. And sure enough, we just fucking broke down right in the middle of that hugely flooded road, and just sat there watching water come into the car, and we all had to get out of the car and wade through this nipple deep on an 8-year-old boy water. My dad was fucking furious. I think he rang up BMW, and his joke was, but I'd never know when he's joking or not. He said he had this guy on the phone and said, I paid X amount for this BMW. I was like, yeah. He said, so how come when I say up Periscope, nothing happens? I thought that's a great way to make like a minimum wage worker feel like shit in a funny way. But yeah, that was my only experience of intense flooding. Since we've been building on the floodplains a lot more, my town floods a lot more. But I just tend to stay out of it and learn my lessons from my youth and not try to drive fucking through it. But that was a fun experience, wading through, chest deep water because your dad's a dickhead.
Now, we had a similar experience, not for us, but last time it flooded here, we had somebody in like an expensive Land Rover with a snorkel decide, oh, I can make it through there. No, they didn't. and it was really great just watching that. It's like, fuck you. Fuck you and your overpriced, waterproof car. That's none of the above.
How is a snorkel going to make a difference in that situation?
That's the thing. My dad's car had none of that kind of, country boy. I've modified my truck for rough weather stuff. He was just operating on sheer. I'm being forced to take my kids out to watch a movie I don't want to watch. Fuck this and fuck everything. I'm driving through this river in the middle of the road, and didn't work out.
Do you remember what the movie was?
You know what? My dad still gives me a really fucking hard time because he took me to see Adam's Family 2. And he's like, every time I saw it, he's like, oh yeah, don't talk to me about movies. I had to sit through Adam's Family 2. I'm like, Dad, you took me to see fucking Heat when I was 13 years old. So I remember sitting there for 2 hours looking at Al Pacino's impassive face, thinking, why am I, a 13-year-old boy, watching Heat? And yet still, many years later, he will say, you made me watch Adam's Family 2. And I watched Adam's Family 2. It's not even that fucking bad.
It's a pretty good movie. I was about to say.
It's all right. It's not that bad. I mean, Adam's Family 1, great movie. Adam's Family 2, not a great movie, but it was all right.
Still pretty solid.
Yeah, it's like, we had to drive through a fucking river to watch Adam's Family 2. And it's your fault. Like, Dad, looking back, that was deflection because you decided to drive through a river. It wasn't my fault at all. I'm glad we're having this podcast because this is like some therapy moments for me right now.
Get it out, Steve.
I get about fucking hate pumpkins, and it wasn't my fault that my dad decided to drive through a river.
You're eating the wrong part of the pumpkin.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if 98% of something is inedible, then it's not meant to be.
Steve, did your dad make you eat an entire pumpkin as punishment for getting
I don't know.
the car
I mean,
stuck in the
let's
river?
just continue the podcast. Let's continue just opening up and sharing our truths and see what happens.
Yeah, after the BMW drowned, they went to see Adam's Family Values, and Steve was like, "Could I have a piece of pumpkin pie, sir?"
Can I have some popcorn, Daddy? Some pumpkin, you say? Of course you can. An entire bag of pumpkin.
Here's the stuff they threw out. The slimy, snotty guts.
Not even the 2% of the pumpkin that's edible, son. Here's a bag of pumpkin snot. I mean, that might explain it, I guess. It'd explain a lot of things, really. I think we should move on.
You know what? I don't get what's so special about Kobe beef. Like, I was eating their hooves, and they didn't taste great at all.
Again, I'm not buying that, man. I've seen cows. They are much more than 2% edible.
I have a dad flooding story that I can tie in before we fall back into this fight.
Well, let's get them all out there. Let's get all the dad flooded stories out there.
Oh, this is also the exact polar opposite of the last story I told. My parents weren't together most of my life, if that doesn't become slowly clear through the descriptions of their general differences. This was pretty recent, actually. It was a couple years ago. My dad was getting hit by a hurricane. Keep the details light. You can geographically track stuff. But so
you made that sound really personal.
Yeah.
Like he was just him. He was getting hit by a hurricane.
Honestly, it feels pretty personal by the end of the story.
All right.
Apologies if I've told this one before. But so the flooding starts like coming up on his neighborhood. He's in one of the higher points of the neighborhood, but it's still very clearly coming for his house. And so, with the time to prepare they have, he and my stepmom, they get like Visqueen, which is like a plastic sheeting, and they like try to seal up all the outer doors, windows, etc. They just batten down the hatches as best as possible. And my dad tries to do the same to the garage, but it just can't get as good of a seal on it. It's too, old, too many entrances, etc. But it's one of those situations where there's like a good foot-high step from the bottom of the garage to the actual like entrance of the house. And so my dad opens the windows that are high up, seals off the ground, and he I get a text, by the way, at like 10 o'clock that night from him, and he's just like, sealed up the house, locking myself in the garage with a bucket. Hope the storm doesn't last too long. And that's all I hear from him for like 12 hours.
Isn't that the plot of Train Spotting? I'm giving up heroin for 12 hours. I got a bucket.
So apparently he stayed in that garage bailing it out like a sinking canoe all night long. Because he didn't want it to rise up to the point where it could get into the house. And between the plastic sheeting slowing the growth in, and the fact that it never rose enough to go into the window, so he was able to throw it out. Son of a bitch actually did it. So I have to give him credit, man. My dad brute forced a flood.
That's a hero.
That's a solid dad move.
Yeah.
It's like I'm in a bad situation. I've got this practical but seemingly ridiculous solution, and I'm going to commit to it 1,000%. That's like total dad move. I mean, it didn't work out for my dad, but it worked out for your dad.
You just know if that had been 20 years earlier, you would have been the one bailing out all night while he's sitting there going, come on, bail faster.
No, he would have been in there with me. That's again, exact opposite end of the camping hotel story.
Dads fucking love shit like this. It's like, a legitimately serious situation, and the solution that seems like a cartoon coyote might come up with at the last minute. I'm banging. I'm gonna dad the fuck out of this.
Wait, can I tell everyone that I fixed this with just elbow grease? Oh, hell yeah. Dad senses activating.
I mean, I could either die in the attempt or live to tell everybody that I fixed this with elbow grease.
Yeah, my dad is the same man who broke his arm earlier this year falling off a ladder while chainsawing limbs one-handedly.
Nice. Solid dad move.
Yeah, the man has a brand.
I mean, if he hadn't fallen off the ladder, that would have been fucking epic.
I mean, think of all the times he's done that just fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you got to put your chips.
12 hours, I bailed at that garage with nothing but a bucket with a hole in the middle of it.
All right, so have we exhausted our natural... I mean, I don't have many natural disaster stories.
I've got a couple more.
There we go.
Same here.
Nothing special. But I don't know if a lot of people experienced this. But I remember going to elementary school, and it was a totally normal day. But when it was, my parents would drop me off in the carpool, I go to school, and there'd be an alert in the middle of the day. And when it came time for school to release, all the streets were flooded, and instead of cars, our parents would show up in galoshes, dragging an inflatable boat, and they'd walk us home through the flooded streets in a boat. And that's not an exciting story, but something I don't know if a lot of people experienced, and that's a memory I have.
Yeah, I've never been taken home in a boat.
Yeah, I have several times.
We wound up becoming kind of you guys remember Hurricane Sandy?
Yeah.
Hurricane Sandy was essentially, quote unquote, the superstorm that just like rolled up the coast and just utterly flattened New Jersey. Everything in New Jersey except my house, because my house almost always floods. There's almost always shit going on. Sandy goes through. It's like we're like the last house standing amidst a nuclear bomb. My basement is somehow dry. We have one branch down in the backyard. The power's out, but we had full tanks of gas in the cars, and our chest freezer was full, but we hadn't defrosted it in like 3 years. So it had so much ice in it, it actually worked as a cooler. So we had plenty of food. So almost like all of my youngest or my oldest son's like school friends, because they had no food. everything was like shit. There was like trees down on houses. We wound up essentially playing host for about 3 days to just like his entire class. It was just like everybody just sleeping on the floors and stuff. We'd get up. I had the grill. We just grill like leftovers from like the freezer. It was actually kind of fun. It was almost like my own little commune.
Rick was like dad winning that entirely, but every now and then he'd look sadly over to his bucket with a hole in it. Thinking, this could have been better. This could have been a better story.
There's something so wonderfully Jersey about your house being like, no, fuck you, Storm. You don't tell me when to flood and break down. I tell me when to flood and break down.
Pretty much.
See, I remember when that was happening from like a foreigner perspective, and I just thought, is this the end of season for Jersey Shore? I don't really understand how that works, but maybe, hopefully.
Oh, it utterly flattened the state.
I wanted to say, Bob, your thing about the boats in the flooded streets, I did see that a lot, but not as a kid, weirdly. It was when I went to college. Lubbock is very flat, and I can't speak for the current layout, but when I was there, at least, the drainage was gallingly bad. I mean, just truly maddeningly, insanely bad. And so every time it would rain heavily, there were several streets on campus that would literally flood to the point where people would blow up air mattresses and go like paddling down them.
Yeah, we used to. There was a couple times we weren't in school at the time, but it started flooding, and so, all right, kids. It was back when my dad had a boat in the garage. So, all right, get in the boat. We're eating lunch here. Wait it out.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know if I've got any like extreme weather stories that are pleasant at all. I think back before the old global warming plan kicked in and we started getting warmer, we used to have some fairly serious snows in England. And I live in a valley near the Dale, which is kind of this V-shaped stretch of hilly land that was carved out by a glacier thousands of years ago, or whatever. And when it used to snow, and we used to get proper snow, everyone from the town would just descend on this place and just get real fucking creative. Because back then it wasn't a town with very much money, so it's not like they could like buy snowboards or skis or whatever, or even sleds at most of the time. And I remember there was just a guy with a shopping trolley that they hacksawed the wheels off, and these were like fully grown men, and they're just putting themselves on these like huge slopes that we weren't used to, and just probably drunk. I imagine they were drunk. And just this incredibly dangerous convergence of a town full of people who had little else to do that wasn't pub orientated, suddenly thinking, you know what? I'm going to find a household object and slide down this dangerously snowy slope. I don't care how many children are at the bottom of it.
That could have been so much worse. Like, oi, we found Mrs. Crookshanks. She froze to death. Hack off her arms and legs. It will use her as a sled.
Well, they may have done that. I mean, if Mrs. Crookshanks wasn't so hardy. But, I just...
After you've eaten the best parts of her.
Yeah. I mean, the much more than 2% edibleness of Mrs. Crookshank. But I just remember this slightly Dickensian scene of people like, you know what? We don't fucking have sleds because we wouldn't use them 98% of the year, like most of a pumpkin. But God bless it, Governor. It's snowing, and we live near the Dale, so I am going to surf down a hill on this here orphan. So I am. It was a good time. That's just the only other extreme weather story I have.
I've got another stubborn dad story. When I was in Korea, we went to it snowed, and we went to Home Plus. That was the big supermarket in our town, and we were looking for a sled. They had these cheap ass plastic sleds, but they were like $30 a piece. And I said, why are these cheap-ass plastic sleds $30 a piece? And they had a Paul Frank monkey face sticker on them. So they were branded Paul Frank. There's like a, I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's a,
Yeah, I remember Paul Frank, yeah.
Yeah.
For a while, people were really fucking big about that badly drawn monkey face.
yeah. Well, because it had that sticker on it, these $5 sleds were priced $30, and I was pissed. So I said, fuck that. I'm not buying this. But out near the parking lot, Home Plus had they just put all their boxes out where they got all their inventory, and they had these cardboard boxes that they needed to get rid of. So yeah, if people needed to pack up all their shit, they had boxes and tape free to use. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna just take some of these boxes and I'm gonna coat them all completely in tape and fuck you. And I did it. My homemade sleds didn't work very well, but I still felt good about it.
It doesn't have to work. You just have to commit to a bad idea as hard as possible.
Yeah. And they probably lost money on tape that day.
That'll teach them.
Fuck you, Home Plus.
That will teach them.
And Paul Frank and your stupid fucking monkey face.
You stupid, badly drawn monkey face. Primo dad move. I approve.
Thank you.
You made a social statement, an impractical decision, and you stuck to it.
Rather than spend $30 on a sled, I stole $40 worth of tape.
Didn't steal. It was free.
Instead of doing what I was supposed to do, I did something much more difficult in the long run. But got to stick my middle finger up at an imaginary enemy. Primo dad move.
That is a maximum dad.
If I had spent as much time writing, then I probably would have made much more money in the long run than I wasted on that tape.
Well, that's the thing. The problem is that, spite isn't the problem. You got to target the spite. That's what we got to do. If anything, we need to be more spiteful, but just with more of a laser focus. That's what gets shit done.
Yeah,
That's primo dad energy.
You could have burst into flames going down that hill on that tape box, but you still but you would have gone down with two middle fingers toward Paul Frank.
And Home Plus.
Absolutely.
And isn't that what Christmas is all about?
Yes.
So Steve brought up a positive hurricane story earlier as a concept, and I do sort of have one. It's still kind of a bummer, but I don't know, it's not all bad. So I was...
Well, it is a hurricane.
Yeah. Well, tropical storm, I think, for this one, actually. I know. How pathetic. So I was doing some contract work down in Alabama, down around like the Orange Beach Gulf Shores area, and it was very fun, but like it was contract work, so I was obviously like away from friends and family and everything. And so one weekend I had gotten like a beach condo that I could like stay at for company, and I was like, all right, gonna invite friends, they're gonna drive out, I'm gonna go get a keg, I'm gonna have like my buddies, and we're gonna like do a beach weekend. It's gonna be fun, and yes, very needed. And then a tropical storm hit. And not only did it hit, it like flooded Louisiana, which was pretty much like the point my friends would have had to like drive through. So obviously a lot worse stuff going on in that situation, but one consequence was that all my friends could not safely make the trip, so it was called off, and I was stuck in a condo with a full keg and pretty much nowhere to go. But I did have Netflix, which was kind of newish, I think, at the time. And so, yeah, I just basically tried to solo a keg before it went flat and watched a shitload of Netflix.
Oh my God, that sounds fucking perfect.
But Uber Eats wasn't a thing yet, so like I did have to like sober up and try and brave the storm for food every now and then.
Blah. I don't know, man. I think I could drink past that, given the circumstances.
I mean, I did some damage. It was a lot easier to get that keg out of the tub filled with ice than into the tub filled with ice.
Nice. No, I mean, that just does sound like, you know what? We all spend a lot of time working. We're always working. And we love our families. We all have obligations to be normal human beings all the time. Occasionally we get these grand opportunities to be psychotic when we're bailing out our garages as men. And that's great. But most of the time we just have to be normal and responsible. I tell you what, when the fates give you an opportunity to just drink an entire keg of beer because you can do nothing else, that, you gotta embrace that shit.
It is truly just like literally, what else could I do?
Oh, God. I've been shipwrecked on this island with nothing but several kegs of beer and some Russian sex workers. Well, you know what? You got to play that shit out.
It's the hand you've been dealt, man.
Yeah, I've got a similar story. It didn't have as happy an ending, but it started out nice.
Oh,
We're in the middle of a hurricane, but I thought ahead. I was gonna cook, so I was doing some chicken stir fry. So I had the chicken. I chopped it up.
which part of the chicken did you have? Did you have the 2% of it that's not edible, or the 98% of it is?
No, I had the nice white breast meat, and I chopped it up, cooked it. And I put everything in the skillet: the soy sauce, the garlic, the sesame oil, the peppers, the whatever. Cooked it all up. It was smelling good. Put some broccoli in there and carrots, and it looked like it was going to be delicious.
You're actually making me hungry right now.
It was good. And so I stirred it all up. It was sizzling. It was smelling good. And then I dumped it all in the garbage and tried to eat the skillet. And that's
You motherfucker. I already shot down your chicken story with facts and logic. Oh, it doesn't matter.
You tried.
I wish I'd tried harder. I'll give you this. I'll have my vengeance. It takes the entire podcast. God, now I know how every 80s cartoon villain felt. Curse you. Curse you. You took this perfectly innocent format about natural disasters and turned it into a feud because you insist on defending nature's shittest gourd.
Anyone else got a story?
Pumpkin spice isn't even fucking pumpkin flavored. It's just named after the shittest gourd on earth.
Pumpkin spice.
That was the start of this entire argument. Don't tell me. Oh my god. You've trivialized this entire feud we've built up.
Eat your bowl of spiced pumpkin snot.
Oh god. I mean, that would make more sense. That's the tragic thing about it. Anyway, we call it winter spice. The point I was trying to make is they call it winter spice because it eradicates the entire notion of pumpkin, which I will say again is 98% snot.
God, I hope there was some 18th century orphanage where they just around Halloween all they did was feed them bowls of pumpkin snot.
Probably. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, we didn't treat it. I mean, traditionally, I don't know if you've read our literature from our country. Traditionally, didn't treat orphans very well. Anyway, let's get away from orphans. Any more natural disaster stories?
Most of mine just involved my basement flooding, which sucks.
My current one involves house guests. I haven't really spoken to them a lot because I've been on a podcast, but
You should give them both a bucket.
we still have power and internet. That's nice.
You know, that's what Drew's dad could have done. He could have emptied out the 80% of pumpkin snot and used the pumpkin as a bucket.
You would have. That sounds like some hardcore Halloween dad action. Actually, I have one. It's not really natural disaster because I was in Canada, and I think for most of the time their weather is just like an ongoing natural disaster. Apparently Canada's lovely in the summer, but I've never seen it. I went there in the winter, and it was an icy, frozen waste filled with striding moose beasts, which was nice. But I remember one time my sister and I went out drinking in my heavy drinking days when we used to impress locals with how much we could drink. And we impressed the locals so much that he invited us out to his town away from the resort we were staying at. And we went, and there was drinking, and it was fun. There was dancing. And then we had to kind of get back, but we didn't really have a way back. And we were very drunk. We didn't really know where we were. And came this Canadian blizzard, like nothing we'd ever seen in England. And we went to a gas station because it was nearest to the bar, and they checked us out the bar. And we were like talking to the gas station people. And it's like, how is it that you're just selling fucking Mars bars in what is clearly the apocalypse? But she was very helpful. She called us a cab, and we looked outside. In England, we get 6 inches of snow. That's it. Fucking game over. Everybody just stays home, and we're done. But in this 2 feet of snow and ongoing blizzard, this guy in what looked like a cheap parody of a yellow cab comes over, and me and my sister get in. And he's just this really chatty Canadian dude, and he's got television screens in the taxis, which we don't have over here, and he's playing casual pornography, which is weird. And he's keeping up this chit chat this entire time. He's driving us from the town to the resort, so it's pure white. I won't say road because you can see the road. It's just pure white in the dark, and the snowflakes are coming at the windscreen like we're in the Millennium Falcon or something. We're like, dude, aren't you fucking terrified right now? And he's like, oh, no. They call me Tony the Pony Express. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a nickname you give yourself when you're fucking high. You sound like you're high right now, and you're driving us into the fucking void. But you know what? As terrifying as that experience was, and as long as it seemed to take, he got us to where we were safely going, which was a resort in the middle of a huge fucking moose-infested snowdrift with a car that looked like it had maybe been made in the 80s. And it was a hell of an experience. But I imagine this is just kind of Tuesday for Canadians. I don't know. So there you go. Not quite a natural disaster story, but a weather story. I imagine Tony the Pony Express had some solid dad energy going on there.
Yeah, I do remember one time I was down into North Carolina for work, and they got a dusting of snow, and I showed up in the office, and they're like, "You're actually here." I'm like, "Yeah, and why wouldn't I be?" Because apparently nobody else showed up.
I used to have a Canadian school when I was growing up. We were in school, and we'd have, like, it would be snowing, and he'd be like, well, in Canada, this wouldn't mean anything. It's like, yeah, that's in Canada, where it's just your fucking existence, mate. This is England, where it happens maybe less than that, maybe 2 times a year. Just allow us our needless panic for a moment. But no, yeah, in Canada, apparently that's just how the White Walkers live.
No, I used to go up there for business, and yeah, a couple times it was in the middle of a bad snow, and they don't give a shit. They're just like, yeah, we don't shut down for anything less than 6 feet.
Humans are remarkably adaptive, but also remarkably lazy. I mean, humankind is so spectacular. They can take something as fucking awful as a pumpkin and pretend it's a flavor, rather than just a fucking sphere full of bogeys.
Well, on that note, we should probably shift over to some of your questions. Otherwise, we fall back into the Groundhog Day of the pumpkin fight.
On that note of Steve winning the pumpkin fight, let's move on to the questions.
All right, folks, even though this is an interlude episode, we still take the questions you submitted because we asked for it because we didn't know this was going to be an interlude. Thanks, Hurricane. So, first off is our folks from the Discord. Rick, why don't you go ahead and read some off?
Sure. Our favorite fuck buddy, F.U. Mark, asks,
Oh, Jesus.
if you had to dress up as a Disney princess, which one would you choose and why?
Hold on. Our favorite fuck buddy?
I think he's just reading the screen name.
All right.
No, I'm not.
Oh, never mind.
He's just making this a bit more intimate for all of us listeners out
It's an
there.
interlude. We're trying to get all closer together here.
Yeah. It's interlude rules, baby.
I'm going to go Rapunzel because purple generally works pretty well with my skin tone.
I'm going to go with Belle because she gets railed by a big old beast.
God damn it. I was going to go with Rapunzel because, like, she has a lot of hair. But
Not sure you guys understand what dress like means.
I don't know. I didn't get past favorite fuck buddy. What was the question?
which Disney princess are you going to dress as?
Yeah, Steve, what Disney prince do you want to get railed by is a very different question, and actually Flynn Rider would be in contention. That's fair.
Actually, Drew, I don't think it is a different question. I think it's very much the same question.
I'm gonna go with Mulan because wasn't she supposed to be a dude?
Yeah, armor is a pretty solid solid wardrobe choice.
There you
Man.
go.
Well, who are you going to get fucked by? I mean, that's a pretty weak Disney prince.
Yeah, I was going to say it.
I don't know. He was a general in an army. That's more action than a lot of Disney princes have seen combat-wise.
Yeah, screw it. I'm going to go with...
Whatever woman wanted to fuck Mulan.
That's a good point. You certainly turned that around, didn't you? You wily man.
I'm going to go with Snow White because if this princess thing doesn't work out, I can make a shit ton of Pornhub with my 7 dwarves.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, you know, my dwarfs own a diamond mine, which would have been an easier way to pay money.
Snow White, you don't have to do this. We have so much money.
My dwarves pay for sex.
I never said I was a good businessman here.
Oh, great businessman, but a fucking brilliant house guest. Yeah, I'm going to change my answer to Rick's answer. Okay. Next question.
All right. Our friend Aaron/Tiggy asks, is there any advice for those doing NaNoWriMo?
Write all months of the year and don't use that as an excuse.
If you're... Look, I know some people don't love NaNoWriMo, but I also know that the idea of writing a book is daunting and weird and scary, and if tackling it for the first time with people around you helps, then by all means, more power to you. My advice for NaNoWriMo would be to remember that you're not trying to hit a publishing date, you're not trying to, get the great American novel written by a deadline. And when you fall behind, because you will, and that's part of it, and it's okay, it's very easy to get discouraged. But if you write, 10,000 words the first week, and then you peter off, and you miss a few days, and you're like, oh, fuck it, I guess I just fucked up this year, and you have 10,000 words to show for it, well, that is 10,000 words. But if you write 10,000 strong, and then you peter off, and you're like, well, fuck it, I guess I'll still do, 500 a day. That's still going to rack up to a lot more. And it's so easy to lose the thread and to stall out. The ability to power through and finish and then have something to work on and learn from and go back and fix up and the ability to get to the end is so valuable. And it's really just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other, even when you don't necessarily feel the value that you are getting out of the practice.
Yes, everything Drew said is true, except for every month.
Yeah, if you do it full time, you have to do it every month. If you're
No,
trying,
I'm just saying, you don't have to do it in November. You can have NaNoWriMo in April.
They have one in April
Yeah.
called Camp NaNoWriMo.
Fuck you. I'm just saying, you can do it anytime. If you want to write.
You're always fucking attacking NaNoWriMo and defending pumpkins. I don't know what your problem is, man.
Fuck all of you.
All right. Well, I have two. My cynical answer is, don't be like, one of those people on December 1st, like the scores of people who then like upload their shitty, unedited NaNoWriMo book to like, Amazon. That's probably the first bit.
That's some real ass advice right there.
Yeah.
That's some good shit.
The more kind answer is have fun with it. If you treat it like, it's bigger than it is, you're going to like let yourself get psyched out, and then you're going to like get freaked out. Like year after year, you're like, oh, every year I quit after the first week. Have fun with it. That's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be trying to write a story. Make sure you enjoy it. If you enjoy it, you'll want to do it. If you're freaking yourself out, you're not going to want to do it.
Yeah, I'd say treat it like any other kind of self-improvement thing, like giving up smoking or going on a diet or starting a gym class. Don't treat it as something that's going to be profoundly world-changing for you or have immediate, tangible results. But do, by all means, embrace it as a challenge and an excuse to kind of flex your writing muscles, I guess. See what you're capable of, and if you can keep it up after that, by all means do. Sometimes these little short-term goals are what's needed to inspire us to better habits.
In any month.
You can do it any month, but if there are people out there and you've got some writing bros are surrounding you, and they say, hey, let's do a NaNoWrimo, it's like, do it. Just do it. Take advantage of the vibe, and then if you can do it the next month, do it the next month.
Bob is right. You can write a book any month, but you can't have the communal experience of a bunch of people going through that together every month.
But your very first book...
Fuck, what's that?
Some people do, and that's okay.
A fucking nightmare.
Yeah, find yourself some solid bro dudes, and you can do NaNoWrimo for every month of the year.
Yeah, if community helps your motivation, then absolutely pursue it. There's nothing wrong with it. Hell, this podcast is a fine example of that. The A&D group is someone we talk to and like bounce ideas off of and etc. Like having a group of fellow writers to talk to and commiserate with and etc. is really great for, especially in moments where you're having trouble grinding through, and it's sometimes just nice to have someone to say, God, this fucking sucks. And say, yeah, it does.
Also, if you despise community and you want to write to spite other people, then NaNoWrimo is also a perfect opportunity to do that.
Is this the fire that makes Steve write so good?
But just remember to have it edited, because chances are that 50,000 words is 85% snot.
Yeah.
Oh,
see,
yeah.
That's where it is. I feel like the people that are, write because it's November are the same people that eat pumpkin snot and complain that it doesn't taste good.
Bevan, none of those people exist. Nobody looks at pumpkin snot and says, oh, I better eat that.
You do? You're the one that's fucking complaining about, oh, I don't like the taste of pumpkin because I only eat the snot.
No, I've seen the snot and I'm never going to eat a pumpkin.
Well, there you go. All right. Case closed.
No, I think the case is still wide open.
Your mom was... never mind.
Anyway, if you want to write a book out of spite...
I do.
Because maybe somebody slighted you over some kind of pumpkin duel or something, just hypothetically, then NaNoWrimo is a fantastic time to do that.
I wanted to tap on Rick's point real quick about like the how it will be mostly bad. It will be. It 100% will be. And that's okay. Your first book you write is probably going to be bad. And that's fine. You have to write it to get it out and to start learning to write well. Like the first mile you jog is dog shit because you don't know how to do it very well yet. But the more you work at it, the better you'll get. And so you have to be okay writing bad for a little while. And that's all right. You work at something to get better. That's a skill. And writing isn't magic. It's a thing that you practice and gain experience, and you work at. You work at and you grow.
And before you ask another more successful writer, no, there is no magic trick that they're holding from you. It's all hard work.
It's just like having gym buddies.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever started a workout regimen with friends and tried to hold each other accountable, it's pretty much the same principle, just with writing instead of exercise.
But to Bob's credit, I'll say, if you hit the end of November and you have, say, 35,000 words, there's nothing that says you can't finish that book in December.
Absolutely.
Here's a different one. Most of your writing will be pumpkin. Scoop out the snot. Scoop that out, and you'll have some beautiful prose that is pumpkin pie worthy. Fuck you, Steve.
You've just made writing a lot less attractive to a lot of people.
Well, if those Nanowrimo people, then
All right. Well, moseying over from the Discord to the Facebook.com/Authors and Dragons, where we would normally have a live blog going. But again, this is an interlude episode. And since we are down the wonderful Joseph Brassi, I will grab some questions from folks. We're recording this before Halloween, but it will air after, which makes this next question, I don't know, pretty fun. What COVID-compliant candy delivery method, besides eat it all yourself, will each of you use this Halloween? And this is from Matthew Moskowitz.
Well, if you've been following me on social media, I've been talking about building a candy chute. I actually have it pretty much together in my garage. I've been spray painting it orange. I don't know why. To look like a pumpkin, I guess.
Oh my god.
Which means that all the candy I'm standing down is crap.
Check out that fucking stubborn dad energy. Love it.
No, it actually is a lot less energy than I thought. I measured out my the railing of my stairs, and I went to Lowe's, and they actually sold pieces of 3-inch PVC, the exact length I needed. So I really didn't have to do much work other than just put a little nozzle on it.
Oh, you've ruined the illusion now. That sounds exactly the right amount of work to put into a dad project. Well done.
yeah, I saw Rick's Facebook post about his candy shoot a while back, and I thought I could do the same thing, and then I thought, I don't want to. I'm just gonna grab handfuls of candy and put them in kids' buckets, and hopefully they'll wash their hands and shit.
You know what? It's been a tough year. It's been a tough year for everyone, and a lot of the things that we take for granted we've not been able to do, and these kind of rituals we have that shape our lives we haven't been able to partake in, or have been able to partake in, but in a severely diminished form. So rather than just presenting this diminished Halloween experience to a lot of children, I'm just going to pick one child. I'm going to find out where they live. I'm going to buy a step ladder and a mask, and I'm going to break into their room with a bag of candy while they're asleep, wearing a Frankenstein mask, and I'm just going to scare the shit out of them. Scare the absolute shit out of them, leave him a bag of candy, and he's going to have a unique Halloween experience.
This is the year that you learned what it is to shitting in your bed.
Exactly.
As a man.
Everyone else is going to have a diminished 2020 Halloween experience, but one, maybe two kids they're never going to forget it.
Steve's climbing in the window dressed as Santa Claus, and he's got a whole pack of eggnog.
Oh, dear.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh my god. Oh, Rick, let's not ruin Christmas just yet. It's still at Halloween.
I think my plan is very low tech, but feasible for me. And I've kind of got a long walk from my door to the sidewalk. So I'm planning to grab a lawn chair, set it out, and then put a bucket with some candy down at a safe distance on the stoop. And then I can kind of sit out and wave and keep an eye and run out and refill the bucket as needed. But that way candy distribution is not hindered and social distancing is properly observed.
Imagining all those kids who are looking at you and going, I can outrun Old Man Hayes, but just grab the entire fucking bucket for myself.
That's why there's only a select amount in the bucket at a time, and it gets refilled.
You can outrun Old Man Hayes, but you can't outrun his shotgun. Happy Halloween, motherfuckers. Click, clack.
Oh, it's beanbag rounds. It'll just bruise his kidney.
But you've given them a Halloween experience.
I'll never forget it.
It's my special pumpkin spice shot.
He still walks with a fucking limp and a colostomy bag.
The best Halloween he ever had. That evening, he knew the meaning of fear.
I remember that one Halloween when Old Man Hayes clipped my spinal cord, but he had full-size Snickers, so it was worth it.
This is how we create legends. See if you tell any other kids about it.
I woke up in a bathtub full of ice.
Say what you like about the Hayes household and all the lawsuits that came thereafter.
Trick or treat, called 911.
Next question. All right, I thought this was a kind of a fun one. If you woke up on Halloween as one of your previous Halloween costumes, which one would you want it to be and why? Thanks, happy Halloween. And that's from Crystal Stefan Yock. And apologies if I mispronounce anything. I'll take one. I've got a favorite from back in college, and it was a Superman costume, and it was a full-on like one-piece suit from Superman Returns. And as a heavy partying, drinking fellow, I knew that the problem with those is that they have you have to fully take them off in order to urinate, which is a frequent concern with high amounts of drinking. So my creative solution was I cut a slit in the crotch area for easy access to keep it somewhat tame. And then I threw on a pair of slacks and a button-down business shirt and some glasses, and did a halfway button down. And so basically I did Clark Kent in mid-transformation out of Superman, and it just looked really good. And I always think back, I was like, that was a cool-ass costume, and it came together well. And it's one of the few times where you grab components and they actually look the way you want them to instead of jumbled piece of shit.
And I was still able to piss.
Yeah, I'd go back. I'd also love to be able to fit in those fucking pants again.
Mine is kind of similar. I did back in high school, or at the very end of high school, I did a Terminator costume. So it was half my face was done up in kind of robot, red eyes shit. It was a decent makeup job, but same deal. I was actually in shape back at that point. Actually, this was college, not high school. So yeah, I was actually in decent shape to not Arnold shape, but good shape for me. So yeah, I wouldn't mind being able to pull that off again. If I did that now, it'd just be like, hey, look, it's Fat Terminator.
Oh, Rick.
I'll take that back. Fat Bald Terminator.
Yeah, I think I tell you what, for the larger bone gentleman who still wants to smoke and drink on a Halloween evening, dress as Blue Demon. Just get the wrestling mask, get yourself a nice suit. You're already a dude in a nice suit, and you're wearing a Blue Demon mask, so you can smoke and you can drink and you can be charming. Do that. That's my recommendation.
I don't know. I'm guessing all right, yeah. If supernatural elements were in play, then I'd go back to the farthest costume I can remember, so I could be young again. But I don't think that's what we're talking about. So I'm gonna go with the laziest one, and just a name tag that says Rick Ghoul, Trele.
I thought this was. Did I misunderstand this question? I thought this was the supernatural. If you could dress up and become a character.
Oh, in that case, I'm going back to the youngest one I can remember, some R2D2 shit, and Hey, I'm 6 years old again. Awesome.
Yeah, but you're also R2D2. I mean, I was Blue Demon.
Yeah, but I'm 6 years old, and in 1983, and I know all the shit I know now, and I'm gonna start writing my Caverns and Creatures books.
Well, when
And
you're 6,
Yeah.
you'll be put in a fucking institution, mate.
And you're still dressed as
So
fucking R2D2.
that's fine. I will make enough money to take off the costume.
You'd have to transcribe your Caverns and Creatures books in Morse code.
That, you know what? I'll figure it out. I'm R2D2. I can do that. I can fly, actually. If
All I'm saying is, like, I picked Blue Demon for 2 reasons. One, Blue Demon is pretty fucking sweet. But 2, here's a list of the people I have dressed up as at Halloween. Ray from Ghostbusters, who is, the saddest Ghostbuster. The comedian, who's, you don't actually want to be the comedian. And can't remember who else I dressed as. I think it's just more depressing than that. So, Blue Demon, great option if you want to dress as if you're a big bone guy and you want a nice loose Halloween costume. But also, who wouldn't want to be Blue Demon? And probably better than being Ray from Ghostbusters. So that's my thinking.
Yeah, that sounds better than like, hey, I'm a 6-year-old R2D2, and well, I guess in another 10 years I'll be able to jack off.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, because you're still R2D2, and all he does is just poke his data port into impassive, large building structures.
I mean, we don't know how robots jack off. For all we know, every little he makes is him coming.
Maybe just constantly pump. Well, I see no, because C3PO would have said something, because he's a total fucking narc.
Oh my goodness, R2, you're going to spray electro jizz all over the console.
You know what? They wasted the prequels and they wasted every other movie. Anyway.
I wrote Space Puppies. It counts.
Look, Bevan, there'll be time to recount your crimes against humanity in another podcast. Let's move on to the next question.
All right, we'll do one more. This one non-Halloween, actually writing related.
Oh, God.
So Cameron Anthony asks, is there any genres or projects you would love to write, but that are hard for you or that you've struggled with?
Hard struggle.
I've had a couple of beers. This has been an interlude episode. I'm going to fucking lay it down for you right now. You know how everyone on the internet's like, oh, they don't take romance as a genre seriously. Fuck you. Because romance as a genre is the United States of the fucking genres. The runner-up is crime fiction, which is the China, and everything else is just dog shit compared to those. And comedy especially is right at the bottom
Or
rung.
Liechtenstein.
And fantasy comedy doesn't even exist compared to the rest of those genres. So you know what? I don't know. I forget what the point with this. I just got incredibly bitter there about genres.
Oh no, Steve, you are 100% right. Like, people love to run their fucking mouth about romance, but you need to understand something, people out there. If you're going by sales, romance is fucking literature, and the rest of us are subgenres.
All I see is memes on the internet. It's like, why don't you take romance seriously? I'm like, motherfucker, they obviously do.
Yeah,
It's like, why don't they take comedy seriously? And I think, well, that makes
we
sense.
don't earn for shit comparative. Like, yeah, when you know why everyone pays attention when big shit goes down in the romance world? Because that is so fucking much.
And then you still get people saying, oh, they don't take romance seriously. Yes, they fucking do.
Well, plenty of people don't, because plenty of people are stupid and don't recognize what the realities of the market are.
Well, let's be fair. When you get a popular genre, a lot of that genre is shit, and that's a fair enough observation. And I would say, here's the thing. People like to laugh, and people like to come. Apparently, they like to come a lot more than they like to laugh.
Oh,
because
I have no doubt.
fucking sales figures.
Yeah, I have some friends who, I mean, I think they say they write urban fantasy, but it really is like PNR, and holy shit, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all that bullshit is like, just be yourself, be funny. Women will like you. No, be a billionaire werewolf with a huge fucking dick.
Different tactics.
A billionaire bully werewolf.
Yeah. It is maddening sometimes to just watch the disrespect romance has to deal with. It's like, you guys do not understand how many fucking people's checks they're writing.
Yeah, I'm going to be perfectly honest. If you're the #1 author on Amazon in horror comedy, and you meet the #1 author in romance on Amazon, they can buy and sell your ass.
Yeah, I don't know that's true, because the #1 in horror comedy is
Romance.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
Bear
reason they
fucking-
can crush us in all the other categories.
Exactly. It's not punching down to say to these romance writers, do your own thing, stay out of our meager genre. We want to make people laugh, and they can't do that with a boner.
Although if someone does master that, that's probably a strong market within itself.
Oh man, jerking off while laughing just seems like it might be a bit disturbing. But I don't know.
Well, someone clearly never jacked off on nitrous.
Sarah Silverman.
What?
I can laugh and masturbate at the same time.
Well, that's on us. Well done.
She's a very talented comedian.
Uh,
I forget what the genesis of this question was now.
No, it actually, so that sort of leads me in. I have thought of romance a few times. I have a few romance ideas that I've kicked around. But I have never pursued them actively because it's a genre that I don't have the depth of experience to feel like I know the ins and outs of, and B, because it is a genre with such a passionate fan base, I don't necessarily feel comfortable fucking around without... Because if you say something's romance, there are certain things people are going to expect. And if I don't know how to deliver those tropes, even if it's delivering in my own way, then I'm going to leave an unsatisfied reader. And that's not something I ever wanted.
I've only got my own romance experience to go from, so I'm definitely leaving some unsatisfied readers.
But yeah, the question was, what project or genre have you had trouble writing for? Or that you've wanted to do but you haven't?
All of them. I mean... I'd find it very difficult to write a straight romance. I'd find it very difficult to write a straight sci-fi, and possibly by this stage, too irreverent and contrarian to do that.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Steve here. I've talked with Steve specifically about writing like straight fantasy, and I want to make fun of shit and throw dick jokes in there, and it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm a lot of a hypocrite in this, because I remember Star Wars Episode 8 coming out, and all the drama aside from that, I did point out that what they considered to be subverting expectations was just didn't work for Star Wars. I think it kind of ruined the mood. But if somebody asked me to write Star Wars, I would absolutely subvert expectations. I don't think I'd be able to help myself, I guess.
There's nothing wrong with subverting expectations as long as you can deliver something else. Like, you can't say, hey, come over for steak, and then you show up and I'm like, haha, no steak. I have to go, haha, no steak. Instead, lobster that you love.
Yeah.
See, that's an okay subversion. That's a flip where you're still getting something that makes you happy.
Come over for a pumpkin pie, except I made it out of all the snot.
You motherfucker. Pumpkin blasphemy aside, I'm worried here that I'm coming off as a little bit pretentious. Like, I couldn't possibly do anything normal. But I wouldn't want to write in a genre of something I loved, or carry on the story of something I was deeply passionate about. I don't really want to see a Steve Wetherell Star Wars. I think it would ruin Star Wars. I don't want to see a Steve Wetherell Evil Dead. I think a certain amount of FU to the source material is kind of built into the way I write. So
no, I understand. I actually kind of envy writers who are able to have the things that they love writing versus the things that they say, fuck it, this pays the bills, and they're actually able to get through it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Although I do notice that after a while they do tend to become miserable.
I don't have the self-control to write something I don't love. Like, I do respect the willpower of that.
Yeah.
It's kind of the reason I will never be able to write in the most profitable and popular genre there is. I'm just, it's not cool. That's not punk. It's actually a bit of a disability in the old writing for money game.
Well, next year my plan is, and I'm working up to it because I read a lot of them, and I know I can write it. It's just kind of like I'm still stuck in that I don't want to, but I do want to try my hand at kind of a techno thriller next year. But that's the thing. I kind of have to get into the mindset because almost everything I write is like comedic or so, and everything that's non-comedic I write, it tends to take a lot of effort.
Well, you write comedically. You write great comedic characters, but you do write kind of large plots. It's like plot-based stuff that you do in the Bill stuff, and it's kind of there's drama and stakes. So you could write a techno thriller with assholes.
I like that.
But that's kind of what you do. I mean, Bill the Vampire is Twilight if everyone was a dick.
Oh my god, I am rebranding Bill as techno thrillers for assholes.
That's the thing. That's the same. I think Bevan could write in any genre he desired to write in, providing all the characters were like the characters he writes in Caverns and Creatures. I don't think he'd have a problem at all.
If that was something that people wanted to read.
Yeah, I mean, just like, can you write Pride and Prejudice when most of the main characters are shitting themselves? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see that.
Sensibility and Sasquatch. I'll just point out, yes, you can.
All right, folks. Well, that was our Hurricane Interlude episode. We will be back in 1 week with a side quest and 2 weeks with a regular episode of Authors and Dragons, unless the God of Thunder decides to fuck us again, in which case we will just roll with the punches, because when lightning says shut down, you shut the fuck down.
Tune in next time for another 40-minute argument about pumpkins.
Next time on Authors and Dragons. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, friends.
Authors and Dragons is brought to you under a Creative Commons license, meaning you are free to share this material so long as credit is given to those who created it, which is us, the people you just heard play the game. Opening and closing themes performed by the Gore Core 4.